Weirichel, surrounded by love, a story of crisis, family, and hope. The warning signs opening. A normal morning. The film opens on a sunny Saturday morning. Weirichel, now 18 months old, sits in his high chair having breakfast. His mother Diva feeds him oatmeal while his father Dr. Joel reads the newspaper, sipping coffee. It's a picture of domestic peace. But Diva notices something. Weirichel isn't eating with his usual enthusiasm. He pushes the spoon away, whimpering softly. "Come on, baby," Diva coaxes gently. "Just a few more bites." Weirichel shakes his head, and when Diva touches his forehead, she pauses. He feels warm, not alarmingly so, but warmer than normal. "Joel," she says, trying to keep the concern out of her voice. "Feel his head." Joel immediately sets down his coffee and examines Weirichel. His doctor instincts kick in. He checks Weirichel's temperature. 100.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Elevated but not emergency level. "Probably just a little virus," Joel says, though Diva catches the slight tension in his voice. "Let's monitor him today. Keep him hydrated." The deterioration. Throughout the day, Weirichel's condition worsens. His fever climbs to 101.5 degrees Fahrenheit, then 102 degrees Fahrenheit. He becomes lethargic, lying limply against Diva's chest instead of playing with his toys. His breathing seems faster than usual. Diva's nursing instincts are screaming at her that something isn't right. She's seen hundreds of sick children in the hospital, and there's something about Weirichel's presentation that troubles her. "Joel, I don't like this," she says, her voice tight with worry. "He's not himself. Look at his breathing, it's shallow and rapid." Joel examines Weirichel again. His son's lips have a slight bluish tinge. Joel's face goes pale. "We're taking him to the hospital. Now." The rush to emergency. The drive to the hospital feels endless. Diva sits in the back with Weirichel, who is now barely responsive. She keeps talking to him, singing his favorite lullabies, begging him to stay awake. "Mama's here, baby. Mama's here. You're going to be okay. You have to be okay." Joel drives with controlled urgency, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. He calls ahead to the emergency room, using his medical credentials to ensure they're ready when they arrive. When they rush through the emergency room doors, the staff is waiting. Rosa, who now works in pediatrics, sees them and her face goes white. "Diva? Joel? What's?" Then she sees Weirichel and her training takes over. "Get me a pediatric bay immediately." The diagnosis. Within minutes, Weirichel is surrounded by medical professionals. They work with practiced efficiency, checking vitals, drawing blood, starting in 4, placing an oxygen mask on his tiny face. Diva and Joel stand to the side, holding each other, watching helplessly as their colleagues work on their son. Diva knows every procedure they're performing. She's done them herself countless times. But now, as a mother watching her child, each needle stick, each monitor beep, feels like a knife to her heart. Dr. Martinez, the attending pediatrician and a friend of Joel's, comes to them with a serious expression. "We're running a full panel, but based on his symptoms, the respiratory distress, the fever, the lethargy, I suspect it could be pneumonia or possibly RSV with complications. His oxygen saturation is low at 88%. We need to admit him immediately to the pediatric intensive care unit." The words hit like a physical blow. "PICO. Intensive care. No," Diva whispers. "No, no, no. Not my baby. Please, not my baby." Joel wraps his arms around her as she begins to shake. The doctor in him understands the severity, but the father in him is terrified. The vigil begins. The PICU. Weirichel is transferred to the pediatric intensive care unit. His small body looks even tinier in the hospital bed, surrounded by machines and monitors. IVs in his small hands, oxygen tubes in his nose, monitors attached to his chest. Diva and Joel are allowed to stay with him. 2 chairs are set up beside his bed, chairs they'll barely leave for the next several days. Diva holds Weirichel's hand, careful not to disturb the 4, and sings softly to him. Joel stands at the window staring out at the city, his jaw clenched, fighting back tears. "This is my fault," Diva suddenly says, her voice breaking. "I should have noticed sooner. I'm a nurse, I should have known something was seriously wrong." Joel turns to her, his own eyes red. Don't do that to yourself. You did everything right. We caught it. He's getting the best care possible. But what if? Diva can't finish the sentence. The possibility of losing Weirichel is too unbearable to speak aloud. The hospital family arrives. Word spreads quickly through the hospital that Diva and Joel's son has been admitted to the PICU. Within hours, visitors begin to arrive. Mrs. Chin is the first. Despite her advanced age and frail health, she takes a taxi to the hospital, bringing a bag of Weirichel's favorite snacks and a small stuffed bear. For when he wakes up, she says firmly, as if willing it to be true. Not if. When. She sits with Diva, holding her hand, saying nothing because no words are adequate. Her presence alone is a comfort. Rosa comes during her break, tears streaming down her face. I can't believe it's Weirichel, she says. That sweet boy. I'll make sure every nurse on this floor knows he's family. He's going to get the best care, Diva. I promise you. Other nurses Diva has worked with stop by. Doctors Joel has collaborated with check-in. Even the patients Diva cared for sent flowers and cards. The PICU waiting room becomes filled with their hospital family, all keeping vigil, all praying for the little boy who brought so much joy to their lives. The first night. As night falls, Dr. Martinez returns with test results. It's bacterial pneumonia with respiratory complications, he explains. The infection is in both lungs. We've started him on broad-spectrum antibiotics, but his oxygen levels are still concerning. The next 24 to 48 hours are critical. Critical. The word hangs in the air like a dark cloud. That night, Diva and Joel take turns sleeping in the chair beside Weirichel's bed, though neither of them really sleeps. Every beep of a monitor sends their hearts racing. Every change in Weirichel's breathing makes them alert. At 3 a.m., Diva holds her son's small hand and talks to him, talks to her parents, talks to God, talks to anyone who might be listening. Mama and Papa, she whispers, looking up as if her deceased parents can hear her. If you're there, if you're watching, please help him. Please. He's your grandson. He carries your names, your legacy. He has so much life to live. Please don't let him go. Not yet. Not now. She lays her head on the bed rail and weeps quietly, trying not to wake Joel, who has finally fallen into an exhausted sleep in the other chair. Joel's breaking point. The next morning, Joel steps out to call the hospital administration, requesting emergency leave. In the hallway away from Diva, he finally allows himself to break down. He slides down the wall, sitting on the floor of the hospital corridor, and sobs into his hands. A hospital chaplain finds him there. I'm a doctor, Joel says through his tears. I save lives. It's what I do. But I can't save my own son. I can't do anything but sit there and watch him struggle to breathe. What kind of father am I? What kind of doctor? The chaplain sits beside him. The kind who loves his son. And sometimes that's all we can do. Love them and trust that it's enough. The community rallies, the support system activates. News of Weirichel's hospitalization spreads beyond the hospital. The young mother Diva helped in the emergency room months ago organizes a meal train, ensuring Diva and Joel have food delivered to them at the hospital daily. The nursing staff creates a rotation system so that someone is always checking on Weirichel, even when it's not their assigned patient. They bring Diva changes of clothes, toiletries, and books to read to Weirichel. Mrs. Chin practically moves into the PICU waiting room. She knits a tiny blanket for Weirichel, her needles clicking rhythmically, a meditation and a prayer with every stitch. Social media posts go up, prayers for baby Weirichel. The hashtag #WeirichelStrong begins trending in their local community. Hundreds of people, patients Diva cared for, students Rosa taught, people Joel operated on, all sending their love and prayers. Diva's crisis of faith. On the second night, Weirichel's condition didn't improve. His fever persists despite the antibiotics. His oxygen saturation hovers dangerously low. Diva sits in the hospital chapel, alone in the dark. She's angry, at God, at fate, at the universe. I've done everything right, she says to the empty room, her voice echoing off the walls. I've worked hard. I've helped people. I've honored my parents' memory. Why my son? What more do you want from me? She puts her head in her hands, her body shaking with sobs. A hand touches her shoulder. She looks up to see an elderly woman she doesn't recognize. I was here when my granddaughter was born, the woman says softly. Your husband delivered her. She had complications, the cord was wrapped around her neck. Dr. Joel saved her life. Now she's 5 years old, happy and healthy. The woman sits beside Diva. I don't know why bad things happen to good people. I don't know why children get sick. But I do know that you and your husband have given life and hope to so many families. Now it's our turn to hold hope for you. The woman hands Diva a small card with her granddaughter's picture. Her name is Emma. She's alive because of your family. And we're all praying that Weirichel will be okay, just like Emma was okay. Diva clutches the card, a small light in the darkness. The turning point. On the morning of the third day, Dr. Martinez comes in with cautious optimism on his face. His fever broke during the night, he says. His oxygen levels are starting to improve. The antibiotics are working. He's not out of the woods yet, but this is a very good sign. Diva and Joel embrace, crying tears of relief and hope. An hour later, Weirichel opens his eyes. They're still glassy with fever and exhaustion, but he's awake. He sees his mother and manages a small smile. Mama, he whispers, his voice hoarse. I'm here, baby, Diva says, leaning close, kissing his forehead. Mama's here. Papa's here. Everyone who loves you is here. Joel takes his son's hand. You're so strong, Weirichel. So strong. You're going to be okay. Celebration in the waiting room. When word reaches the waiting room that Weirichel is improving, a cheer goes up. Mrs. Chin clasps her hands together, tears streaming down her face. Rosa hugs everyone around her. The young mother with her now healthy baby does a little dance of joy. They send balloons to the picker room, not too many, just enough to make it feel less like a hospital and more like a celebration. They send cards, drawings, and stuffed animals. The PICU nurses, normally strict about decorations and visitors, make exceptions. This boy is surrounded by so much love, one of them says. How could we say no? Joel and Diva's conversation. That evening, with Weirichel sleeping peacefully, truly sleeping, not the fevered unconsciousness of before, Diva and Joel step into the hallway for a moment. I've never been so scared in my life, Joel admits. When I thought we might lose him. I know, Diva says. I kept thinking about my parents. How they're not here to meet him, to watch him grow up. And the thought of him not getting to grow up either. She can't finish. They hold each other in the empty hallway, hospital staff walking around them, giving them space. But he is going to grow up, Joel says firmly. He's going to be okay. And we're going to make sure every single day of his life, he knows how loved he is. Recovery and reflection, the road to recovery. Over the next 5 days, Weirichel steadily improves. The oxygen levels stabilize, then improve. The fever stays gone. His energy returns little by little. He starts eating again, small amounts at first, then more. He smiles. He laughs at Joel's silly faces. He reaches for his favorite toys. The hospital staff marvels at his resilience. Children are amazing, Dr. Martinez tells Diva and Joel. They bounce back in ways that adults simply can't. Weirichel is a fighter. He gets that from his grandmother, Diva says, thinking of her mother's strength, and his grandfather's stubborn determination. The lessons learned. During the quieter moments of Weirichel's recovery, Diva has time to reflect. She realizes that being a nurse and being a mother are not the same thing. As a nurse, she could maintain professional distance. As a mother, every heartbeat of her child's suffering was her own suffering. I always thought I understood what parents were going through when their children were sick, she tells Rosa during one visit. But I didn't. Not really. Not until now. Rosa nods. Will this change how you work? Yes, Diva says without hesitation. I'll be better. More compassionate. More patient. Because I know now, I really know, what it feels like to watch your whole world lying in a hospital bed. Joel too is changed. He requests a temporary reduction in his surgical schedule to spend more time with his family. I've been so focused on saving other people's lives that I forgot to fully live my own life, he tells the hospital administrator. My son almost died. I need to be present for him, for my wife, for my family. The administrator, understanding, approves his request. Mrs. Chen's gift. Mrs. Chen brings the finished blanket she knitted, soft blue with white clouds, Weirichel's name stitched in one corner. I made this while I prayed for him, she says, draping it over Weirichel's sleeping form. Every stitch is a prayer, every row is hope. This blanket is made of love. Diva embraces the elderly woman who has become like a grandmother to her son. Thank you, she whispers. For everything. For being here. For loving us. Family isn't just blood, Mrs. Chen says. Family is who shows up. Who stays. Who loves you through the hard times. And you, dear Diva, you have shown up for so many people. Now we show up for you. The young mother returns. The young mother Diva helped months ago visits with her now healthy baby. She brings a card signed by dozens of people. All parents Diva has helped over the years. You were there for me when I was terrified and alone, the young woman says. You told me I was strong enough that my baby would be okay. Now I'm telling you the same thing. You're strong enough. Weirichel is going to be okay. And you're not alone. Diva reads through the cards, each one a story of a life she touched, a family she helped. She realizes that all the love she's given out over the years is now coming back to her when she needs it most. Preparing for home. After a week in the PICU, Dr. Martinez announces that Weirichel can go home. There will be follow-up appointments, continued medications and careful monitoring, but he's well enough to leave. The nursing staff throws a small discharge party. They've decorated Weirichel's room with balloons and streamers. A cake appears with "Welcome Home, Weirichel," written in blue frosting. Rosa presents Diva with a scrapbook she's been creating throughout the ordeal. Photos of all the people who visited, copies of cards and well wishes, pictures of Weirichel's progress. The final page reads, "Surrounded by love, the story of Weirichel's strength." So he can know when he's older how many people fought for him, Rosa explains. How much love carried him through. The goodbye to the PICU. As they prepare to leave, Diva stops to thank each nurse individually. Joel shakes hands with every doctor. They take photos with the staff who saved their son's life. Dr. Martinez pulls them aside. Your son is special, he says. Not just because he's yours but because of the community that rallied around him. I've been a pediatrician for 20 years, and I've never seen anything quite like what happened here. That's the power of love. He pauses, then adds, and that love exists because of who you both are. The care you've shown to others came back to you. Remember that. The drive home. The drive home is nothing like the frantic rush to the hospital a week earlier. This time, Diva sits in the back with Weirichel, who is awake and looking out the window with curiosity, as if seeing the world for the first time. Joel drives carefully, glancing in the rearview mirror constantly, reassuring himself that his family is safe. We made it, Diva whispers, more to herself than anyone. We actually made it. But she knows the journey isn't over. Life is fragile. Children get sick. Unexpected complications arise. But she also knows something else now. They don't face these challenges alone. They are surrounded by love. Home again, the return. When they arrive home, their apartment has been transformed. The hospital family has been there. The apartment is clean, the refrigerator is stocked, fresh flowers are on the table. A banner hangs in the living room. Welcome home, Weirichel. Mrs. Chen is waiting for them, having used the spare key they gave her. Welcome home, she says simply, tears in her eyes. That night, after Weirichel is settled in his own crib for the first time in over a week, Diva and Joel stand in the doorway of the nursery watching him sleep. The shadow box on the wall catches the moonlight, Diva's mother's nursing pin next to her own, symbols of generations of healing and care. My parents would have been here, Diva says softly. If they were alive, they would have been in that PICU waiting room every single day. They were here, Joel says. Maybe not physically, but their legacy was here. The values they taught you, compassion, community, caring for others, that's what brought all those people to support us. Your parents' love lives on through you, and through everyone you've helped. The letter. Diva takes out a piece of paper and begins to write. Dear Weirichel, you won't remember this, but when you were 18 months old, you got very sick. For a week, your papa and I weren't sure if we would get to watch you grow up. It was the scariest time of our lives. But something beautiful happened during that dark time. We discovered that we are surrounded by love, by a family we've built from colleagues, patients, friends, and strangers who became family. Your grandparents, who you never got to meet, taught me that love is the most powerful force in the world. They were right. Love kept you alive. Love brought people to the hospital to support us. Love made doctors work harder, nurses care more deeply, and strangers pray for a little boy they'd never met. When you're older, if you ever feel alone or scared or overwhelmed, remember this: you are surrounded by love. You always have been. You always will be. With all my heart, Mama. She folds the letter and places it in the memory box, next to her parents' letters, next to all the cards from Weirichel's hospital stay. Final scene. The film closes with a scene set several weeks later. Weirichel is fully recovered, playing in the park with Diva and Joel. Mrs. Chin sits on a bench nearby, watching with a smile. Rosa pushes Weirichel on a swing, his laughter filling the air. The camera pulls back to show the hospital in the distance. The place where Weirichel fought for his life, where a community came together, where love proved stronger than fear. As the sun sets, Diva picks up Weirichel and holds him close. She looks up at the sky, at the first stars appearing, and whispers, "Thank you." Thank you to her parents watching from wherever they are. Thank you to the medical staff who saved her son. Thank you to the community that rallied around them. Thank you for love, for family, for second chances.